Okay, so you have to remember that you're not a specialist. If I'm using my Joe, I'm also thinking, do I have time to draw another weapon? Can I kick? Can I close and grapple? Which means in the set, I'm using the Joe in a way to stop him from being able to do those things. Okay? So as you're trying to study both sides, you reverse engineer the forms so that that's not possible. Okay? If he's stepping back, for example, in Bushido Tenkan, I reverse engineer the form to realize then that I must be penetrating to the degree that brings the logic to Bushido Tenkan. If I am not penetrating to that degree, he would be able to draw another weapon, maybe a firearm or something like that. It's not occupying him, okay? So, for example, in real life training, we were working with simunitions in our law enforcement training, and we were practicing firearm combat around a vehicle. It's a specialized terrain. It's not as easy as someone might think, and it doesn't mean you can do it just because you can clear a room or things like that. And one of the trainers who doesn't really understand this concept said, well, make sure you don't close so much that they'll come and they'll start grappling you. Well, why would I bring a firearm that close? I'm going to do flanking maneuvers and use the terrain of the vehicle, but keep it in a firearm range. Do you see? I wouldn't close where this person can start grappling over the firearm. So part of using a firearm around a vehicle is making sure you don't close so much that this person feels there's more advantage to closing and trying for a disarm than to stay in the gunfight. Does that make sense? Okay, if I can't keep him in the gunfight, then I can't take advantage of the terrain, such as the pine, the A, B, C pillars, and things like that. Very similar here. Okay, so on the first Joe ski, he's going to do a Bushido Tenkan. So let's look at where his body is. Okay, and if my Joe ski only penetrates to here, he doesn't need to move at all. Do you guys see that? So he could just pop me in the face, maybe just even this one. Do you understand? As I move into that little range here, that's not going to cut it. Okay? I have to drive him back with the fear of at least Iuchi. So he's hitting me while I'm hitting him. So I can't go like this. Do the technique, please. Do the technique all the way. Because the ma is wrong. Stay. So my ski has to be able to penetrate past. That is where my ski is. You see that? Now, depending on your range or your leg length, you might have to take a few steps. That's better than you coming out here and doing this. You're going to jack up the mind, okay? So as he gives the opening, that's where I start to engage, boom, and I'm going to come in and skewer him, forcing him to Bushido Tenkan. Comes around, there's the mind. You guys see that? So even if you're going slow, which you guys are, I want you to, I still have to penetrate past that. Do you guys see that? Okay, let's. So you're training embryonically. Embryonically means that you're using the Joe, your partner's Joe, as kinesthetic vectors. The timing is not the same as in real life. if you were trying to use the Jo in the technique, okay? So for example, so he's gonna do the ski. I can use this line as a kinesthetic vector to tell me what is the angle of my Jo. So if I lift his weapon, this angle here to the ground, that's not the angle of my Jo that it should be. Or if I move his weapon over to my left, this is not the placement of my Jo. So if I use his line as a kinesthetic vector, I have to not move it, not lift it, and that'll give me the angle of my kesa. So you can use it as a training device. Boom. Don't move his weapon. Boom. If you do that, you should understand how to, because you can use it as a training opportunity. It's a martial strategy that you hit whatever's nearest you, especially in weapons fighting. So don't be unconscious with your hand placement. Okay, so as we go, for example, he's going to do the kesa. You're going to say that I'll shield my hand. You're going to say, I don't keep it here. As he's trying to do and use my Jo embryonically, I might get hit. But I want to take advantage, and I realize he's trying to defang the snake, so I'll shield my hand. You see? Doesn't change anything. Here like that. If you want, however, you need to know that's an embryonic timing, which means not the actual timing. I am not blocking this weapon. I'm deviating on that weapon. The actual movement requires that when he would have hit me, I hit him. Which means I never touch his Jo. I keep that same angle as before, but his Jo's not there. Do you see? What I'm trying to do martially is take some penetration off of his weapon. Take some, better look out, because here comes another Aiuchi. You see that? So it's more here. Boom. Then the form continues. Okay? So you do either one is fine. But when you do the kesa, you don't go here. There's no time. He goes, there's no time for me. Do it for real. There's no time for me to hit that. You're doing 2 steps to his 1 step. It's not required for the deviation either. I understand you're deviating, but it's not required. Bushido Tenkan has a rotation in it. It's usually done just out of habit, boom, boom, or ignorance. I either don't understand what I'm actually trying to do, or I don't understand how to eat Bushido Tenkan, get the angle deviation in it, okay? So maybe you need to slow down more, maybe even let this go, and you'll rotate into position. Towards that end, your hands have to move already. So you can't go here. It's going to take too long. Go really slow. My hands are already moving towards it. Hands are moving into the kesa. From the very beginning, watch my right hand. Moves into the kesa. Okay? Try it again. So don't be in this feet outward stance with your hands vertical. This is incorrect. It's my hips not in the technique. My other hip's not in the angle deviation. Remember, it had to pull back. If this is not where my power is, this is actually where my balance is. So gently push down on my hands. You see where it's going. There's no base there. So as you rotate, don't move the foot. Don't move it out. Turn the foot. Maybe you have to come around this side. Turn the foot to pull the hip. The foot turned is now on its angle that I need, which is pointed at his spine. This is my stance. It's like warrior pose. My hands will be up and down, not this way. And they'll be over here with the hitting end behind it. Stick your bill out. So I'm not hitting it like tennis, it's more like baseball. Boom. My hands don't want to be parallel to the part I'm hitting. I want some downwardness to it. Over here. Okay? Try it. Bring it in. Stay there. The Joe is going around, but your line of attack is not circular. So, well, see that? Because in your body mind, you're going around. So I said it was like Warrior One. No one does Warrior One like this. See, your instructor would come over and go, no. Here, do you see? So, go back. Just give me the line. Okay. There's his line. I'm going to be here. The weapon, go back a point, doesn't want to lift it, doesn't want to go around, but it also doesn't want that weak angle. So I don't go weak here and then around my head. I have that angle. It comes up just like Schulman. And then my wrist will turn, it's gonna come down, my wrist turn, boom, is where it is. So I don't go around my head. It just goes here, crack, here, okay? So my angle, it's gonna go down. If I didn't turn my wrist, Shomenuchi. If I turn my wrist and bring my hip in, it's gonna be Kesa. Okay? Pay attention. Go. Maybe over this one. Okay. So I was training embryonically, and I was using his weapon as a kinesthetic vector to teach me my... Because his weapon is representing the center line. See? So I'm going to shield the center line when I go to the actual timing. I'm not going to give up the center line. See? I'm not sure you can see it from there. Come back over here. So you go like this and you're over here and you're not shielding the center line. You're going to shield the center line. You see that? Shield. Boom. If you look at when you gave the opening, you're going to give another opening over here. So as you gave the opening, that's where it just goes around. You're moving around your own Joe as much as you are his line of attack. You're going here, you're hiding behind your weapon. So don't move your weapon over here. You're not behind your weapon. shield behind your weapon. It's just now not deflecting, but you're shielding behind your weapon. Okay? Try it again. So you have the right timing. Okay. So if I'm going in, don't touch my joke. Get it beforehand. Here goes my attention. Whoa, I'm not going to be able to get back out. His whole goal is to hit me as I'm about. There's no backing out of that. You understand? So when I go ski and I go, fuck, it's over here. It's up the circle. Do you understand? It's not back out. There's no way you're going back out. It's impossible. So when you feel his weapon come around, you got to get over here. You got to move up the circle to the zone of sanctuary. So let's mark it so you can understand it, okay? Stay there. So there's my degree of penetration, okay? And we'll mark, let us move a little forward so that my back foot is on this line. Okay? Go get your mind. Cool. Just remember the timing. You see? I'm not going to take this back foot and move rearward of that. I'll never get there. The only way you can get there is you didn't understand the initial timing. So, for example, or the mind. So you underpenetrated. You get it? Okay, then he was never going to hit me anyways. Okay? Or you waited. So you go here, go ahead, you're going to hit my stick, and then I'm waiting here. Why would I wait there? Why am I waiting here? It's just like Aikido that does ski, and the uke waits. So you can do that. The uke is not going to wait. They're going to do punch combinations. So you have to follow a martial rule that's universal to all martial arts. I'm either out of the way, I'm either out of range, or I'm hitting him before he hit me, or I'm hitting him as he hit me. There's no he strikes, waits, and then my turn. There's no martial art that does that except Aikido. Just contemporary Aikido. But it's a deviation, a degeneration. It's not how it's supposed to be. Okay? So, as I ski, I don't start under skiing so I can go backwards. I have to penetrate, but I'm going to go forward here to this circle here. Got it? And it's just as smooth. So, as he's moving smooth, I'm moving smooth out to here. Whoa, 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 whoa. Got it? Okay, let's go. Let me go back a little bit because it's going to come up as I'm going to change the form from what Sensei did, and I'll explain why. Okay? So when I first learned the form from Sensei, it had a front crossover, step out into Kesa. So the uke is ski, and I always go here and do this kind of stuff. And then later, Kenshusei started changing it because you had to start doing this for the person that actually penetrated martially like Sensei wanted you to, so you started to see this. And it's like, you're making a fetish out of the footwork, you see? Okay, but secondarily, in all of my application of the art, whether it be in our Jiu-Jitsu or our live environments or out in the field, I have never done the front crossover. Never. Okay? And when you look at the whole of the form is really about Ushido Tenkan, which comes up a lot in those other environments. You do Ushido Tenkan a lot. So if you look at Gateway Aikido video number 15, where we're looking at Jiu-Jitsu, more live environments, it's constantly Ushido Tenkan. Constantly, okay? Because that's how you deal with aggression, Ushido Tenkan, okay? So as I'm doing this form, that's why I go to this technique, okay? So if you look at it in terms of angle deviation, okay? He has, just hold your jaw out of the way. This is representing the thrust of my ski, that force, okay? So don't move your body. It's pushing straight from my 12 to his 6, okay? So he's going to go around that force, and that's what makes it the deviation, you see? Put that in your other hand. His kesa is here, you see? Okay? And its energy is going that way. So make a fist. And that force is here. So you're going to see what I'm going to do is not try to come back out. I'm going to blend in with that force. And eventually, just because the way a circle inside of the square works, I'm going to be out of range of that force. You see that? So that's what I'm trying to do. As we go, we'll go a little slower. I'm going to do the same over penetration. So mark where his spine is in space. I'm going to do the same spinal displacement of an actual assaultive attack. You're going to see that it goes way past that. And then I am going to now take what I learned in those force vectors and see where they apply when his hips change directions. Okay? So, in other words, you're going to look for spinal displacement, but you're going to watch his hips change the vector. You're going to see that my hips stay connected to his hips. That way, I'll neutralize those force vectors. Okay? So, you're going to watch all that. Boom, I'm going this way. If we take away the Joe, you'll watch his hips. Boom. Boom. So, if you watch my back foot now, it's not going there. That's too late. He already changed the vector. I'm too late. That would be like in any fight, I'm staying still and he already moved. I'm not moving at his intention. So watch my back foot now. It's not doing what you thought it was doing. As I come in, I relate my back foot and my hips to his hips. If he didn't move, it still would work. But if he didn't move his hips, there'd be no point for me to have to move when he moved. You see that? So I keep that back foot there. It's no different if we're here and I go to throw my punch and I see his deviate some way. You see? I'm not going to throw that punch over here because now I'm looking the wrong way. So once I see his hips move, I have to move my hips with his hips. So I'm not looking the wrong way, okay? Going back to video 15, I have to move at the level of intention. I can't wait for these things to over-manifest, okay? So let's try it again. So this is something when I trained with under Mr. Parker. So founder of American Kempo. So he's looking at historical Chinese forms and he's trying to give it some sort of scientific conceptual breakdown, okay? So he came up with this concept called zones of sanctuary. And to help people understand it, he said, if you take a circle and you draw a square around that circle, and you shade in the circle, there's going to be areas of the square that are not shaded in. Okay, so if you take your clock principle, they're at the angles, do you see? So to speak. Okay? If you look at your Aikido spiraling footwork that we've been going over, you move into those corners. Don't go on the 12 to 6 or the 9 to 6 line, or you are in the shaded part of the circle. The shaded part of the circle represents, in the middle is the person's spine, and these are their limbs. All the angles that their limbs can hit. Got it? Okay. So for example, if you throw a strike to my face, boom! Here I am at 6 o'clock. I am in the shaded part of the circle. And if I start moving up the circle and in, he will stay. You see how I'm pushing into it? You see? He's going to hit me. But if I stay on the circumference of the circle and I move to that unshaded part of the square, you'll see that I come off of it. You see? Okay? So that doesn't change if he has his Joe. Here it is. I'm going to move off of it. And you'll be out of it. Okay? I don't need the extra range of having to come back out. That's going to take time and require space. And in this case, I don't have either one. I don't have time. Okay? So what I do instead is I'm going to move up the circle so I hit that zone of sanctuary. Then I'm where I want to be. Okay? I don't want to be way out of it because you're not going to be able to do Makia Tush. You'll do some weird Joe fake stuff that it won't be Makia Tush, but it attacks his hands. Okay? So make sure that that's your concept here. I'll ski. I ski and I go here. This is where I go. Again, if you're just tracking the hips, that's where you go. If you ski and you come back here, our hips are not looking at each other. Do you see that? They're not matching rotation. I ski and my hips rotate with his hips. You're going to be in that zone of sanctuary. Okay? Try it again. Okay, so now we're in Makia Tush. And you can train Makia Tush embryonically. Again, that is when I'm going to use his Joe as a kinesthetic vector to learn the angles I need on my weapon, okay? And I always don't move his Joe. His Joe is what I go around, okay? It's representing yang energy. It's representing my angles of deviation and my angles of deflection as a orientation, okay? So I'll ski. You'll see I'm moving up here. All right. He's now going to make it that vector. It's not Kesauchi anymore. I come up, I don't move, I don't lift it, I don't move it. It's just a training vector. So from here, I'm going to go around it without moving it and without separating. I go around it and down it. Then I got to make sure that I made the Mai again because his next move is Harai. He's going to do a Shido Tenkan. So I reverse engineer the Mai, and you'll see, stay there, you'll see that I have the same degree of penetration. So he does Harai. And you'll see I'll use that same shielding my hand, which is his attack in this case, okay? It's not up to him to miss my hand because that'll jack up his orientation. You see how open he is on this side. He hits my hand, okay? So if I want to do Makia Tush embryonically, you'll see the form kind of stops, and I go around. And we'll end it here with that degree of penetration. What you want to understand again when you train embryonically, that's not the application. The timing is off. The Mai is off, okay? It's a training tool. If you want, you can do the right timing, but let me show you why the embryonic is not an accurate application of Makia Tosh, okay? Which a lot of people think it is. So I go, this is a block. That's not Aikido, and it won't work. Makia Tosh is a stop hit on his hands. So it hits his jo way before that kesa comes around. So my mindset is assaulted. So as I do my first ski, we'll go slow so I can talk about my mindset. I'm going to do violence of action, keep moving forward. The guy moved his hips, so I followed accordingly, and I keep on attacking forward. You add the ski to it, and you'll see that I'm really just doing violence of action. Slow and smooth. I keep moving forward. Okay? You can train either one, but make sure it's one or the other and not a combination of both. Okay, let's go.